Evaluation question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? For the front cover, I had chosen two different magazines, which is obviously mine and a different one. Both of which, these magazines' masthead has a main title with a young attractive girl, which would obviously attract both male and female readers. The masthead is still recognisable and it stands out, even though the image is over it, so the readers can tell which magazine it is and also who the main article is about in the magazine. The masthead in the title reflects the main image and what it is about, along with the image with it, sort of like the sort of genre of music that it contains. Also, for the front cover, the main image is in the centre of the magazine. Like I said, it represents the feature article and represents the main focus target audience. The style in which both of the girls are wearing, their clothing, their hair, represent people who will read the magazine. It reflects an image of who the target audience is. Both images fit the whole page, which shows what this particular magazine is about. Pretty much just the same, the masthead, the layout of it, it's all the same and it represents the target audience. I chose my contents page and another contents page as well, which is NME. My contents page only has one main image, but the NME contents page has two images. But what they do have in common is that they both represent the feature article, and both images are set to one side in a corner and has the text along the other side, and the feature article text is sort of fairly close to the main image. Again, I've got comparing my magazine to another one. I've used a quote from the interview, which is underneath the main title, whereas this one just has the quote for its main title. And this helps engage the target audience to the actual article itself and the person. Unlike my feature article, this feature article had used a drop cap. I didn't choose to do this because I wanted it to be simply laid out, because my target audience is quite a younger target audience, and I feel that my target audience age group are not too interested in the sort of newspaper style-ish that the other magazine has shows. And just like my magazine, both images on one side of paper takes up the full page, and how does your media product represent a particular social group? My media product represents a mix of social groups. I feel that it potentially could represent teenagers today within the way they dress, to the music they listen to, and the gigs, clubs that they may venture to, while drinking and being surrounded by a group of friends. I try not to isolate the typical image of what the media gives to teenagers and young adults. I wanted to show the wild at heart image of youth today without stating that they are trouble, but just to have fun. I would say it's hard to label these youths as rockers, skaters, goths, emos, chavs, etc. As my magazine represents all of these stereotypes united together, just as the programme's Skin represents. The sort of going out every night, partying, being wild, being young. I suppose it does clash with the idea of my magazine because in Skins they do get into a lot of trouble. But the style, the music they listen to, and there's no particular typical stereotype. They're all mixed people, all grouping together just to have fun. I've looked at 3 companies and I have researched them, which I believe could be possible publishers for my magazine. These are IPC, Future PLC and Bauer, something like that. I have thought about what my magazine has that they do not yet have. I'll first talk about IPC. IPC, as I have researched, seems to cater for the older generation, unlike mine. But what they do have in common is its topics, such as gossip, celebrities, and things like that. IPC has a wide range of women's weeklies. As my target audience focuses on females, this will take to my advantage on getting them to publish for my magazine. I have a similar audience and topic-based magazine, but it is stylized in a completely different way, which will attract a younger audience. Although I do feel that they would not want to publish my magazine, as it is quite the contrast to anything they sell, and they want to focus on what they already have. But what, again, I would take to my advantage is that it is completely different to anything they have, but within the same borderlines of what they already have as well. I will now talk about Future PLC. Future PLC's published magazines are very much rock-based, so I can see that they have an ideal target audience already. The plus side is that they cater to both genders, which could bring their interest to my magazine. The style of my magazine has its rock elements into it. Again, this is another advantage for me and both PLC, as they would get different magazines what they publish through the articles and the topics and things like that, but the style of it would attract their audiences as well as mine, due to its style. But unfortunately, I do believe it would be most unlikely they would publish for my magazine, as the topics, articles are completely different through gossip and things like that. They tend to have magazines which focus on just the gigs and sort of advertisement, as my magazine doesn't really have advertisement. Now I'll talk about Bureau. The sort of magazines that they publish, I've noticed there are a lot of puzzle magazines, TV guides, and women's gossip magazines, women's weeklies. I feel that this particular publisher company would be my last choice, due to the fact they do not cover music magazines, as I've seen. And this could lose their interest in wanting to publish my magazine. I could also use this as an advantage, again, as it is completely different to what they have. But they do women's weeklies and things like that, which is again all about gossip, celebrities, which is what my magazine would give for them too. Out of all of them, I would take a gamble and go for Barrow to publish my magazine. I think that they would be the best at getting the magazine noticed, as I feel as a new project they will make it a big project. It would be something new for them to focus on. They are quite well known, and so are their magazines. There are plenty of advertisement, which helps financially. Its target audience would help, as most of them would be female and or parents, and the parents would obviously have children, and they could be buying their weekly magazine, and then this My ideal target audience would be teenagers and young adults, from the age of 15 upwards to probably about 26. Just the image that is now coming up will show the typical target audience, the image of what they'll be doing, what they wear, who they hang around with. sort of party goers drinking with their friends and out clubbing, both genders maybe. And again, sort of the stylised image of skins represent that too from the programme. Question 5. How did you address your audience? I did this by looking back at my mood board to get ideas of how to attract and address my audience. Keeping in mind that I was creating a music magazine, so I didn't want it to turn into a fashion magazine by looking at what things they may buy or wear. I had to keep in mind that I had to have the music elements still into it. The colours that I had first chosen had changed slightly from what I decided. I changed the pink to a red to get the rocky element for it. I used a dark blue and a bright yellow instead of an electric blue and an orange. I also used toned colours, like I said, instead of electric blue, so it sort of blended, so it wasn't too harsh in contrast with each colour. I did this as I felt that I needed to attract both genders, even though my main target audience is for females, just to simply get more of an audience, more of a wider range, to keep it girly and edgy. So I tried mixing with all of the style text that I'd used on my mood board, giving it a rebellious factor. The style of the girl in the main picture was created by using clothes that is up to date and from the high street now, the girl in the main article. I did this so that the reader could relate to the main article, the main person, so that it interested them, it engaged them more. The girl had like a rock edge, but still the influence of being not a stereotype, just being an individual girl. All my decisions were made based on mainly me trying to concentrate on the fact that it is a music magazine and not. Question 6. My product. I edited the main picture several times and also the main title several times. I did this so that I could try and get an idea of how I was going to present it. I had different styles I was going to present it, some in more of an artistic way, some in more of a more typical magazine way, and I sort of tried to fit myself in between these. And in the end, it came up with my final piece. The typical things that technologies that I had used was Blogger, Wix. I used the camera to take the photos, and Photoshop, which was the main thing. With Blogger, I've learned how to post and edit edit text and images on Blogger. I've also learned how to change the background of my blog and to add an image in the background. I was given from a selection of different styles. I also found out how to edit the font colour and size on a heading, title or main text. Wix is a flash website. You can create your own web page or Wix book. I use the Wix book. I used this to create my mood board. I learned how to jazz up the page a bit by adding icons and special features, such as the animated alien dog on the bottom left, or the special feature layout, which had a pink background with a spinning tabletop. The process of getting the work on here was difficult and took time. I had to use different sites to convert the data from JPEG to a Photoshop thing, and then I had to change it back to a JPEG. The camera. I have developed my skills on the use of a camera by creating a set with a chosen scene, lighting and different lenses. This helps sharpen and improve the quality of my image. Photoshop. I have developed my skills on the use of Photoshop and have formed new ones. I have learned how to use the magnetic lasso tool to crop precisely around text and image. This was a main part for me, as my main image on my front cover, I had to have it centred and overlapping a lot of images, so this took a lot of time. I've also learned a lot about the blending tool, which I had used a lot of on all my text, images, the background, on my feature page, my contents and my front cover. I was learning how to use Photoshop. Looking back at the preliminary task, I can see clearly how I have developed the skills on creating a magazine cover, contents and on-page spread, by simply having more time to plan and collect research. Also more time in general to design on my final product and clean up the product. When I was creating the college magazine, I had only 2 weeks, which was 8 lessons. Briefly plan and create the front cover and contents. I had no time to do much research on the industry of the college magazines. The only form of research that I had managed to do, which was a questionnaire to college pupils around the college. Whereas during the research for my main product, the music magazine, I collected information on the industry of publishers, researched a well-known music magazine and also analysed 2 different music magazine front covers, contents and feature page. This helped me understand the industry and what target audience will want from it. I also had a chance to do a mood board, collecting information, as I mentioned before, on fonts and colours and my ideal target audience, getting an idea of what they may wear, where they may be set at, who they will hang around with, their typical image. I also had a chance to do a draft of how each page would be set out. So I had an idea of where I could put things, although it did change over time, which again shows the difference between the preliminary task and the main task. I had an opportunity to draft, research, do the actual product and then change it all completely from A to B. From how I drafted my things, there's nothing to how the final product was. Whereas the college magazine is exactly the same as I had an imaged from the very start, and it hadn't changed, although looking at it now, there are quite a few things I would have liked to change by simply doing more research, having more time, and yeah, just more time on being able to develop even more, maybe ask opinions of what I could do more research on magazines, the layout, and things like that. I also had a construction schedule for my images, which I didn't have in my preliminary task. I constructed a schedule where I had the date, time, the location, the props I would need, and then obviously I had my final image. Whereas for the college magazine, it was literally take a picture, it wasn't edited, and it was roughly done.